She tried everything: spreadsheets, budget apps, monthly goals written in neat handwriting. Every Sunday night, she promised herself, this month will be different. And yet, by the third week, her account balance always told the same story: almost empty. Again, it wasn't laziness, it wasn't lack of income, and it wasn't that she didn't care. The truth was harder to accept. While she was busy budgeting hard, one small habit was quietly undoing all her effort. A habit so normal it didn't even feel like a mistake. A habit millions of people repeat every day without noticing. She didn't see it as the enemy, but it was the reason she stayed broke, month after month, despite doing everything right. Before we continue, hit like and subscribe. It really helps YouTube recommend this story to people who need it. Now, stay with the full story. Her name was Emily Carter. She was 32 years old and lived in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. Nothing fancy. Tree-lined streets, grocery stores 5 minutes away, and neighbors who waved but never really talked. Emily worked as a project coordinator at a mid-sized healthcare company. It was a stable job, not glamorous but respectable. She earned about $68,000 a year, had health insurance, a 401k match, and regular hours. On paper, Emily should have been fine. Her days followed a predictable rhythm. Wake up at 6:30 a.m., coffee from the machine she bought on sale, a quick scroll through her phone, then a 25-minute commute while listening to podcasts about productivity and self-improvement. At work, she was organized, reliable, and often the one fixing other people's mistakes. Her boss trusted her, her coworkers leaned on her. Emily was the kind of person who planned. She packed lunches most days. She avoided luxury brands. She didn't party or travel extravagantly. In fact, she was proud of being responsible. Every month, she sat at her small kitchen table with her laptop, a notebook, and a pen she liked too much. She tracked her rent, utilities, groceries, car payment, insurance. She had categories, colors, rules. And still, the numbers never worked. Somehow, despite budgeting carefully, her savings never grew. Her credit card balance hovered just below a level that made her uncomfortable but not scared enough to act. Every time her paycheck hit, there was a brief sense of relief, followed by a slow, familiar anxiety as the days passed. By the end of the month, she felt defeated. She told herself the same explanations everyone else uses. Everything is more expensive now. I just need a raise. Once this one bill is gone, things will improve. But deep down, there was a quiet shame. Emily didn't talk about money with friends. Most of them assumed she had things under control. She dressed well, she never complained. When group dinners happened, she said yes, even if she felt a knot in her stomach. Saying no felt worse than spending. At night, lying in bed, she replayed small decisions from the day. A quick stop at Target, ordering food because she was too tired to cook, a subscription she forgot to cancel again. None of it seemed serious. None of it felt reckless. She didn't know it yet that her problem wasn't the big expenses she obsessed over. It was the small, invisible habit woven into her daily life. So normal it felt harmless. So frequent it quietly shaped her financial reality. And she was about to learn that budgeting hard means nothing if one behavior keeps leaking money in silence. The problem didn't explode all at once. It leaked. Every day, in small, forgettable moments. Emily's habit was simple. She spent first and tracked later. She told herself she was aware of her spending. She kept receipts when she remembered. She checked her bank app occasionally. But real tracking always happened days later, sometimes weeks. And in those gaps, money disappeared. A coffee on the way to work because the morning felt heavy. A quick delivery order because cooking felt like too much effort. A $12 charge here, a $19 charge there. None of it broke her budget alone. Together, they did. The invisible mistake wasn't impulse spending. It was delayed awareness. By the time Emily sat down to update her budget, the money was already gone. The damage was done. The numbers didn't reflect choices. They reflected regret. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon. She was at her desk when her phone vibrated.
A bank notification. Nothing dramatic, no overdraft, just a message that read, "Your available balance is lower than usual." Lower than usual. Emily opened her banking app, her stomach tightening as the screen loaded. The number staring back at her made her feel stupid. She knew she had been paid less than 2 weeks ago. She scrolled through transactions quickly at first, then slower. Coffee shops, food delivery, online orders she barely remembered placing. 3 subscriptions she thought she had canceled, a small treat she bought on a stressful day. She added them up in her head. The total shocked her. That night, she skipped dinner and sat at her kitchen table with everything laid out. Laptop open, bank statements pulled up, credit card balance written in bold letters on her notebook. For the first time, she didn't just look at categories, she looked at patterns. She noticed how often she spent money without deciding first, how emotions led the swipe of her card, how tracking after the fact gave her the illusion of control, but never real power. Emily felt something break inside her. Not panic, clarity. She realized she wasn't bad with money, she was reactive with money. Budgeting had become a history lesson instead of a decision-making tool. She was recording the past, not protecting the future. The truth hit hard. As long as she allowed money to leave her account before being assigned a purpose, she would always feel behind, always catching up, always confused. She closed her laptop and stared at the wall. The room felt quiet in a way that forced honesty. This wasn't about earning more. It wasn't about being stricter. It was about changing the order. Emily didn't know exactly how yet, but she knew one thing for certain. If she didn't stop this one small habit, nothing else would ever work.
Emily discovered the rule almost by accident. It wasn't in a flashy book or a viral video. It came from a short sentence buried in a podcast she half listened to while cleaning her apartment. Money must be decided before it is spent. She paused the episode and replayed that part. Before it is spent. The idea felt uncomfortable. Emily was used to flexibility, used to telling herself she would figure it out later, but later was exactly where things kept falling apart. That night, she didn't redesign her entire life, she didn't chase perfection. She chose one simple rule and committed to it fully. No dollar leaves my account without a job. She opened a fresh page in her notebook and drew 3 boxes. Box 1, needs. Rent, utilities, groceries, gas, insurance. Box 2, safety. A small emergency fund, not impressive, just real. Box 3, freedom. Everything else, eating out, small pleasures, spontaneous plans. The difference this time was timing. The morning her paycheck arrived, Emily sat down immediately. Not after work, not on the weekend, right then. She assigned every dollar to one of the 3 boxes before spending a single cent. She paid herself first, even if it was only $150 into her safety box. She capped her freedom money and wrote the number in bold. When the freedom box was empty, spending stopped. No exceptions, no mental math, no promises to fix it later. The hardest part wasn't math. It was emotion. On the 3rd day, she wanted takeout badly. She checked her notebook first. The freedom box was still full, but smaller than she expected. Seeing the number forced her to decide consciously. Some days she said yes, some days she said no. Both felt different than before. Emily also created a new habit she called the daily closeout. Every night before bed, she opened her banking app and wrote down what she spent that day. No judgment, no excuses, just awareness. 5 minutes. That was it. Slowly, something changed. Money stopped feeling abstract. Each purchase carried weight, not guilt, intention. She wasn't tracking to punish herself. She was tracking to stay awake. She canceled subscriptions the moment she noticed them, instead of writing "cancel later" in the margin of her budget. She moved her savings to a separate account she couldn't see daily. She stopped pretending small leaks didn't matter. They mattered the most. The forgotten rule wasn't about restriction, it was about
Order. Decide first, spend second. For the first time in years, Emily felt ahead of her money instead of chasing it. The anxiety didn't vanish overnight, but it softened. The fog lifted just enough for confidence to grow. She knew the system was fragile. One emotional week could test it. One bad day could tempt her. But now she had something she never had before: control.
The change didn't feel dramatic at first. There was no sudden spike in her bank balance, no viral "I paid off everything" moment. What Emily noticed instead was quieter and more powerful. She slept better. The constant background anxiety that used to follow her into bed began to fade, not because she had more money, but because she finally knew where it was going. Mornings felt lighter, decisions felt slower and more deliberate. By the end of the first month, something unexpected happened. She had money left. Not a lot, but enough to prove that the system worked. Emily used it to make a small extra payment on her credit card. Nothing aggressive, just intentional. She chose the card with the highest interest first, stopping the bleeding instead of pretending it would fix itself. The second month tested her. A stressful week at work, a friend's birthday dinner, an unexpected car repair that threatened to throw everything off. The old version of Emily would have given up, telling herself the budget was broken. This time, she adjusted instead of quitting. She moved money between boxes consciously. She skipped a few freedom expenses without resentment. The emergency fund absorbed the shock like it was designed to do. That moment changed how she saw saving. The safety box wasn't boring anymore. It was relief. By month 3, the habits felt natural. Emily checked her notebook the way she once checked social media. 5 minutes of honesty became non-negotiable. She caught small leaks early, before they turned into stress. She renegotiated her internet bill. She paused subscriptions during busy months. She stopped upgrading her lifestyle just because her income allowed it. The biggest shift wasn't financial, it was emotional. Emily stopped feeling ashamed. She stopped hiding from numbers. Money became a tool instead of a judgment. She could say no to plans without panic because she had already said yes to her future. Her savings didn't make her rich, but it made her calm, and calm changed everything. She started planning ahead, real planning, not wishful thinking. A short vacation, a future move, goals that once felt irresponsible now felt possible because they were assigned a place. Emily realized something that surprised her. She didn't need more discipline, she needed fewer decisions. By deciding first, she removed temptation from the moment. By tracking daily, she stayed aware. By paying herself first, she built trust with herself. The freedom she was chasing wasn't in spending, it was in knowing she could stop. Her income hadn't changed, her job hadn't changed. Her life looked almost the same from the outside, but inside she felt different. Stable, present, in control. And for the first time in years, Emily believed her financial future wasn't something to fear. It was something she was actively building. On a Sunday night in early spring, Emily sat at the same kitchen table where she used to feel defeated. Same laptop, same notebook, same quiet apartment. But the feeling was different. She opened her bank app, expecting the familiar squeeze of dread, and instead felt something close to peace. Her emergency fund wasn't huge, but it existed. Her credit card balance had dropped enough to make the number look less like a threat. She could see the month ahead without flinching. Emily stared at the page where she wrote her 3 boxes: needs, safety, freedom. The ink was slightly smudged from weeks of use, like the system had become real through repetition. She thought about how long she believed the lie. If I just budget harder, I'll be fine. Budget harder, as if the problem was her effort. But it had never been about effort. It had been about order, about timing, about the quiet habit of letting money leave first and asking questions later. She remembered the day the bank notification popped up at work and how ashamed she felt, scrolling through charges she didn't even remember. It wasn't the spending that hurt most. It was the numbness, the way she could lose control without even noticing,
the way life could drain her account one small purchase at a time while she stayed convinced she was responsible. Now, she wasn't perfect. She still bought coffee sometimes. She still said yes to dinner when it mattered. But she did it with her eyes open. She didn't punish herself. She didn't pretend either. And that balance made her stronger than any strict budget ever did. The next morning, her friend asked if she wanted to join a weekend trip. The old Emily would have smiled, said yes automatically, and then spent the next 2 weeks stressed, hoping her paycheck would cover it. This time, she paused. She checked her freedom box. She looked at her upcoming bills. She did the math in less than a minute. Then she answered calmly, "I can't this month, but I'd love to plan something next month." There was no embarrassment, no apology, no guilt, just honesty. After the call, Emily walked to her window and watched cars pass on the street below. Ordinary life, ordinary people. She wondered how many of them were doing what she used to do, spending first, tracking later, hoping the numbers would magically behave. She didn't feel superior. She felt protective, because she knew how easy it was to stay broke while trying your hardest, how easy it was to confuse activity with control, how easy it was to believe you're failing when really you're just missing one simple rule. Emily wrote a sentence at the top of her notebook page in large letters. "Decide first, or life will decide for you." That was the moral, one line that hit hard because it was true. If you want your money to change, don't just watch it. Don't just track it later. Give it a job before it has a chance to disappear. Because the smallest habit can keep you broke, and the smallest rule can set you free.